The merger contract was on fire, literally, because Wyatt Sterling had just thrown the 100-page document into the office fireplace, while 3 Meridian Corp executives watched in silent shock. "Gentlemen," my boss said with that dangerous smile I knew far too well, "if you think I'm selling my company for pennies, you can leave right now. The door's over there." Dead silence. I gripped my pen so hard I nearly snapped it in half. This was my fault. Me, Blair Whitmore, the youngest CFO in Sterling Industries history, had spent 3 months negotiating this merger. 3 months of 2 a.m. video conferences, endless spreadsheets, and enough cold coffee to kill a small horse. And Wyatt had just incinerated everything because, apparently, he'd woken up on the wrong side of the bed. Mr. Sterling, Kenneth Dawson, Meridian's CEO, had that vein popping in his forehead. "We've spent 6 months on this negotiation, and I spent 10 years building this company." Wyatt cut him off, leaning on the mahogany desk like a predator. "I won't hand it over to people who offer $20 million below market value just because they think I'm stupid. Here we go." "With all due respect," I managed to say, my voice coming out steadier than I felt, "Meridian's numbers are solid. Their valuation accounts for current market volatility." "Blair." The way Wyatt said my name was a warning, a "shut up now or you're fired" kind of warning, but I'd lost sleep over those numbers. I'd canceled 3 dinners, 2 dates, terrible ones but still, and my sister's birthday party for this merger. "No," I heard my own voice say. "Sorry, but no." 4 pairs of eyes turned to me. Wyatt looked like he was about to have an aneurysm. I stood up, my legs shaking inside my power suit that had cost half my paycheck. "Their offer is 5% below ideal, not 20 million short, and if we factor in the talent retention clause I negotiated, alone by the way, we're actually gaining 3 million more than Mr. Sterling calculated." Kenneth Dawson blinked. Twice. Wyatt was frozen, those steel-gray killer eyes fixed on me. "Ms. Whitmore is correct," Kenneth said slowly, opening his iPad. "Page 47, Clause 12B. "I know what's on page 47, Wyatt growled. "Then you know you're wrong." The words came out before my brain could stop them. The room went so quiet I could hear the air conditioning humming. Someone, somewhere in Chicago, probably felt the tension. Wyatt approached slowly, very slowly, the kind of slow that made you rethink every life decision you'd ever made. "Ms. Whitmore," he said in a dangerously low voice, "can we have a word? In the hallway?" No, I was fired, definitely fired. Actually, Kenneth stood up, saving my life without knowing it. "How about we take a 15-minute break? Clearly there's tension here." Wyatt didn't take his eyes off me. "Great idea." The Meridian executives practically ran out. Cowards. The second the door closed, Wyatt exploded. "You just contradicted me in front of—" "I just saved your deal," I shot back, my blood boiling. "Those numbers are correct, Wyatt. I checked them 8 times. 8. You were about to throw away a $50 million merger out of pure pride." "Pride, pride," he laughed without humor. "I built this company from scratch while you were still in college learning how to make Excel spreadsheets. And now I'm trying to grow it while you act like a spoiled brat who breaks his own toys." He turned red, actually red. "You're fired." "Fine, fine." The room spun, just a little. "Blair?" Wait, why was his voice distant? "Blair, are you okay?" My vision blurred at the edges. "When was the last time I ate? Breakfast? Yesterday? Damn! Blair!" And then everything went black. I woke up to the smell of leather and what was definitely Wyatt's expensive cologne. My eyes opened slowly. White ceiling, crystal chandelier, Egyptian cotton sheets that cost more than my rent. This wasn't the office. This wasn't my apartment. "Finally," Wyatt's voice came from the left. "You're back." I turned my head. Mistake. Everything spun. What time is it?" 9 a.m. Saturday. He was sitting in an armchair next to the bed, still wearing his suit pants, but no tie. Messy hair, dark circles. Looked like he hadn't slept. "I fainted," I managed to say. "In the meeting." "You fainted. I canceled the merger, called an ambulance, in which you refused, by the way, and brought you to my place because apparently you haven't eaten in 2 days. Ah, that explained why my stomach felt like it was eating itself. "The merger," I started. "I forget the merger." He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, expression strangely serious. "We need to talk about last night." "Last night?" "Wyatt, I fainted. I literally blacked out. How can there be a last night? You woke up around 8. He ran a hand through his hair. We were in the car, heading to the hospital. You started yelling that you were fine, that you just needed food. So, well, you were so convincing I believed you. I didn't remember any of this. We went to dinner at the Gauge on Michigan Avenue. You ordered 3 appetizers, made me laugh for the first time in months, talking about what an impossible boss I am. And then, he paused, rubbing his face with his hands. Then you ordered champagne. A lot of champagne. A cold shiver ran down my spine. Wyatt, you kept talking about how ridiculous it was that we were always fighting when we worked so well together. About how the tension between us was something else. He stared at me. And then you said, you know what would solve all our problems if we got married? No. I laughed, thought you were joking, but you insisted, said it made perfect sense, that we could keep up appearances for a few months, close the merger as a power couple, then quietly divorce. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it. And Wyatt ran his hand through his hair again, visibly uncomfortable. I was tired of fighting, tired of pretending I didn't notice you. So I said yes. You said yes, I repeated, my voice failing. We drove to one of those quickie wedding chapels in Hammond, Indiana. 40 minutes away. You sang Beyoncé songs the whole way there. This wasn't happening. Blair, Wyatt said slowly, each word dropping like a bomb. We got married last night, marriage certificate, witnesses, the whole package. I looked at my left hand. A diamond ring. Simple, elegant, expensive, gleamed on my ring finger. You're joking, I whispered. I never joke about legal documents. He pulled a folded paper from his pocket and placed it on the nightstand beside me. I grabbed it with trembling hands. Marriage certificate. State of Indiana, Wyatt Camden Sterling and Blair Jade Whitmore. Date, yesterday. My signature was there. A bit crooked, but definitely mine. You've got to be kidding me. My voice came out in a strangled whisper. This can't be real. Breathe, Blair. I married my boss. I sat up in bed so fast everything spun again. I married you, drunk, without remembering anything. This is technically valid, Wyatt completed. I consulted my lawyer at 6 this morning. I stared at him. You did what? Look, I panicked too. He stood up, starting to pace. I woke up at 5, saw you sleeping in my bed with a wedding ring, and almost had a heart attack. But then I thought, okay, this is manageable. It's just a mistake. We can annul. Yes, annul, now. I got up too fast, stumbling over my own feet. Wyatt caught me by the shoulders, steadying me. And then we just stood there, too close, the heat from his hands burning through my blouse. His steel gray eyes locked on mine. Or what? My voice came out huskier than intended. Or we fake it for 6 months. Silence. You've lost your mind, I managed to say. Think about it. He didn't let go. Meridian backed out of the merger yesterday. But what if they knew we're now a family, a team? Kenneth Dawson is obsessed with family values. It's practically Meridian's brand. If we showed up as newlyweds, this is insane. It's a business strategy. It's fraud. It's marketing. He finally released me, going back to pacing. 6 months, public dinners, some social media photos. We close the merger, then amicably separate. You get a $2 million bonus. Wait, $2 million? As executive vice president, immediate promotion. My brain was officially melted. Wyatt, this is the perfect solution, he said, that intense CEO look on his face. You save the merger you spent months building. I save my company. We both win. Everyone's happy. Except I don't remember marrying you. Then we'll create new memories. He smiled. Actually smiled, that infuriating crooked smile I'd seen him use on investors. Come on, Blair. Where's that woman who stood up to me in the meeting yesterday? Who called me a spoiled brat? I was considering it. Seriously considering this madness. 6 months, I repeated slowly. 6 months. Fake marriage. Real merger. Real $2 million. And after? Amicable divorce, no drama, you go your rich way and I go mine. I looked at the ring on my finger, at the marriage certificate, at Wyatt standing there in the middle of his master suite, hair messy, no tie, offering me the most insane proposal I'd ever heard. I need coffee, I said finally. And lawyers. Lots of lawyers. We have the best in the city. And a contract. Everything in writing. Obviously. And you sleep on the couch. He blinked. Blair, this is my house. Did you sleep with your wife last night, Mr. Sterling? I crossed my arms. Because if you did, our fake marriage ends before it starts. He turned red. I slept in the armchair all night. My neck is destroyed. Good. Then the couch will be an improvement. We stared at each other. The tension in the air was so thick you could cut it with a knife. And then, for the first time since I'd known him, Wyatt Sterling laughed. Really laughed, head thrown back, a genuine and surprisingly attractive sound. 6 months with you is going to kill me, he said, still laughing. Probably, I agreed. But so be it. He extended his hand. Do we have a deal, Mrs. Sterling? I looked at that hand, at the ring on my finger, at the impossible, irritating, ridiculously handsome man standing in front of me, offering $2 million to pretend to be his wife. What could possibly go wrong? I shook his hand. We have a deal. And so began the biggest mistake, or the greatest adventure, of my life. The coffee at Wyatt's penthouse was better than anything I'd ever tasted in my life, which was deeply annoying because I didn't want to enjoy anything about this situation. So, I said, nursing my second cup while sitting at his kitchen island that probably cost more than my car, walk me through the plan again, slowly, like I'm 5. Wyatt leaned against the counter across from me, looking infuriatingly composed for someone who'd just proposed we fake an entire marriage. He'd changed into jeans and a navy Henley that should be illegal on someone with his build. Focus, Blair. It's simple, he said. We announce our marriage on Monday. Small celebration at the office, intimate and spontaneous. We were so caught up in the moment that we eloped. Very romantic. Lies. Marketing, he corrected with a smirk. Then we reach out to Meridian. Invite Kenneth and his wife to dinner next weekend. Show them we're a united front, a family business now. I took another sip of coffee. And you think Kenneth will just forget that you literally set his contract on fire yesterday? He'll see it as passion, commitment to protecting what's mine. Wyatt's eyes flicked to me for a second. Ours. What's ours? The way he said that made something flutter in my stomach. Probably the lack of food. What about living arrangements? I asked. Because I'm not moving in here. You have to. Excuse me? Blair, we're supposed to be newlyweds. If you're still living in your apartment in Wicker Park, how do you know where I live? He had the decency to look slightly embarrassed. I may have noticed your address on your HR file. That's creepy. That's thorough. He pushed off the counter, walking to the fridge. You need to eat. When did you last have a real meal? I had a protein bar on Thursday. Wyatt turned around so fast I jumped. It's Saturday, Blair. Saturday. I was busy negotiating your merger. Our merger, he muttered, pulling out eggs, cheese, vegetables. And you're not negotiating anything if you're passed out on my conference room floor. I watched as he started cooking. Actual cooking. Chopping peppers with professional precision. Whisking eggs in a bowl. You cook? I'm a functional adult, believe it or not. He glanced at me over his shoulder. Shocked? A little, I admitted. I figured you had a private chef or something. I do, but she's off on weekends. He poured the eggs into a pan. Besides, I like cooking. It's one of the few things I can control. There was something in his voice that made me look at him differently. A crack in the armor. So, I said carefully, about the living situation. You move in today. Today? We're married, Blair. People will talk if my wife isn't living with me. He plated what looked like the most perfect omelet I'd ever seen and slid it across the island to me. Eat. Then we'll go get your stuff. The omelet smelled incredible. I took a bite and nearly moaned. This is unfair. What is? That you're rich, successful, irritating, and you can cook. He laughed. Actually laughed. I'll take that as a compliment. We ate in silence for a moment. Well, I devoured my food while Wyatt picked at his, watching me with an expression I couldn't quite read. What? I said around a mouthful of omelet. Nothing. Just, you really were starving. Your fault for being an impossible boss. Our fault for being workaholics, he corrected, which is exactly why this arrangement works. We both care about the company more than anything else. I set down my fork. Is that really true? You don't care about anything else? Something flickered across his face. My parents built Sterling Industries. My dad died when I was 23, right before he could see it go public. My mom, he trailed off. She's in a care facility now. Early onset Alzheimer's. Doesn't remember who I am most days. My chest tightened. Wyatt, don't. He held up a hand. I'm not telling you this for sympathy. I'm telling you so you understand why this company matters. It's all I have left of them, and I won't let it fail because of pride or stubbornness or whatever you called it yesterday. I swallowed hard. I called you a spoiled brat. Right. That. A ghost of a smile. You weren't entirely wrong. We looked at each other across the kitchen island, and for the first time since I'd started working for him 2 years ago, I felt like I was seeing the real Wyatt Sterling. Not the CEO, not the shark in a suit, but the man underneath. It was terrifying. Okay, I said finally. I'll move in, but we need ground rules. Agreed. He pulled out his phone. I'll have my lawyer draft a contract. Not just legal stuff, real rules. Like, I thought about it. Separate bedrooms. Obviously. No bringing dates home. He raised an eyebrow. Planning to date during our fake marriage? No, but neither are you. Fair enough? He typed something on his phone. What else? We split household duties. I'm not playing housewife. I wouldn't dream of it. And we tell each other the truth about everything, no surprises. Wyatt looked up from his phone. Everything? Everything, I repeated firmly. If this is going to work, we can't have secrets. Deal? He studied me for a long moment. Deal. But that goes both ways, Blair. You tell me the truth, too. What would I be hiding? I don't know. That intense gaze again. But I have a feeling you're better at keeping secrets than you let on. Before I could respond, his phone buzzed. He glanced at it and swore under his breath. What? Kenneth Dawson. He wants to meet Monday morning. Says he has a counteroffer. My heart jumped. That's good, right? Maybe. Wyatt's jaw tightened. Or maybe he's going to lowball us even worse than before. I stood up, walking around the island to look at his phone. Let me see. He handed it over. I read the email twice, analyzing every word. He's testing you, I said. Testing us. He wants to see if yesterday was a fluke or if you're really that volatile. What do you suggest? I looked up at him. We were standing close. Really close. I could see the flecks of blue in his gray eyes, smell his cologne mixed with coffee. We show up together, I said. As a team. I do the talking, you back me up. Show him that Sterling Industries isn't just you anymore. It's us. Us. Wyatt repeated softly. Partners, I clarified quickly. Business partners. Right. Business partners. But the way he was looking at me didn't feel very businesslike. My phone rang, shattering the moment. I grabbed it from my purse. It's my sister. I should take it, Wyatt said, stepping back. I'll clean up, I answered. Hey, Morgan. Where have you been? My sister's voice nearly shattered my eardrum. I've been calling you for 12 hours. I was about to file a missing persons report. I'm fine. You missed book club last night. You never miss book club. Even when you had food poisoning, you zoomed in from your bathroom. I closed my eyes. Book club. I'd completely forgotten. Something came up at work. Blair Jade Whitmore, you are going to work yourself into an early grave, I swear. I got married. Silence. Then, you what? I looked at Wyatt, who had frozen mid-rinse at the sink, eyes wide. I got married, I repeated, my voice shaking slightly. Yesterday. To my boss. More silence. Morgan? I'm calling Mom. No, wait. Click. I stared at my phone. She hung up on me. She's calling your mother, Wyatt said, looking slightly pale. Your mother is going to call you. Probably. What are you going to tell her? The truth? I suggested weakly. The truth is that we got drunk married in Indiana and are now faking it for a business deal. You really want to tell your mother that? He had a point. My phone rang again. Mom. I looked at Wyatt helplessly. He crossed the kitchen in 3 strides, took my phone, and answered it. Mrs. Whitmore, this is Wyatt Sterling, Blair's, he paused, husband. Yes, ma'am, I know this is sudden. No, ma'am, she's not in trouble. Actually, could we come by later today? I'd love to meet you properly. Yes, ma'am. See you at 2. Yes. Thank you. He hung up. I stared at him. You just invited yourself to my mother's house? I invited US to your mother's house. We're married, remember? She'll want to meet me. My mother is going to eat you alive. I've negotiated with senators and CEOs. I think I can handle one. She raised 4 daughters single-handedly after my dad left. She can smell a lie from 3 states away. And she will know something's up. Wyatt's confidence wavered. Just a fraction. So what do we do? I thought about it. About my mother's BS detector. About my 3 sisters who would absolutely see through any story we made up. We tell them the truth, I said. Blair, not the whole truth, but close enough. I started pacing. We say we've been secretly seeing each other for a few months, that we kept it quiet because of work, and that we went to dinner Friday night and just decided to elope. Spontaneous, romantic, crazy in love. Can you sell that? I stopped pacing, looking at him. Can you? He stepped closer. Blair, I'm a businessman. I can sell anything. Even us? Even us. His voice was low, certain. But it has to be convincing. If your family doesn't believe it, no one will. So what do we do? Wyatt reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind my ear. The gesture was so natural, so gentle that I forgot to breathe. We practice, he said. Practice what? Being married. His hand lingered near my face. Being a couple. We have, he checked his watch, 4 hours until we meet your family. So we're going to spend that time learning how to be convincing. How? He smiled. That dangerous, devastating smile. How do you think? And despite everything, the fake marriage, the business deal, the absolute insanity of the situation, I felt myself smile back. Okay, I said. Teach me how to be your wife, Mr. Sterling. With pleasure, Mrs. Sterling. This was going to be a disaster. Or the best decision I'd ever made. Honestly, I had no idea which. Okay, so what do married people do? I was sitting on Wyatt's absurdly comfortable couch, watching him pace back and forth across his living room like a caged panther. For someone who just told me he could sell anything, he looked surprisingly nervous. They live together? He offered. Which we'll be doing, what else? They know things about each other. I pulled out my phone. Right. Basics. What's your middle name? Camden. Birthday? March 15th. Favorite food? Italian. You? Thai. Allergies? Shellfish. You? Cats. I typed notes into my phone. This is like the worst speed dating session ever. Wyatt stopped pacing. We need to do better than this. Your mother isn't going to quiz us on our favorite colors. She's going to watch how we interact. He was right. I set my phone down. Okay, so how do we interact? Like a couple who's so in love they eloped on a whim. He sat down next to me. Not too close, but not far either. We need to look comfortable together. Natural. Natural, I repeated, suddenly very aware of how close he was. Right. May I? He gestured toward my hand. I held it out. He took it, his fingers warm and slightly rough against mine. My pulse kicked up immediately. This feels weird, I said. It'll get easier. He interlaced our fingers, studying our hands. We should probably practice other things too. Like what? His eyes met mine. Like kissing. The air left my lungs. Excuse me? Blair, we're supposed to be newlyweds. Your family is going to expect us to be affectionate. At minimum, we should be able to kiss without looking like strangers. He wasn't wrong, but the thought of kissing Wyatt Sterling made my brain short-circuit. That's practical, I managed. Purely professional, he agreed, but there was something in his eyes that didn't look professional at all. So we should just do it now? Unless you want our first kiss to be in front of your mother. Valid point. I turned to face him fully. Okay, let's get this over with. Your enthusiasm is overwhelming. Shut up and kiss me, Sterling. He smiled. Then he leaned in, one hand coming up to cup my face, and pressed his lips to mine. It was soft, gentle, a barely there brush of lips that somehow made my entire body light up like the 4th of July. He pulled back. See? Not so bad. Not so bad? My heart was trying to escape my chest. Again, I heard myself say, his eyebrow raised. Again? Practice makes perfect, right? And that was okay, but not very convincing. Not convincing, he repeated slowly. All right, Mrs. Sterling, let's try convincing. This time when he kissed me, there was nothing gentle about it. His hand slid into my hair, angling my head exactly where he wanted it, and his mouth claimed mine with an intensity that made me forget my own name. I kissed him back without thinking, my hands fisting in his shirt, pulling him closer. He made a sound low in his throat that sent heat cascading through me. When we broke apart, we were both breathing hard. Better? He asked, his voice rough. Much, I whispered. We stared at each other. His hand was still in my hair. Mine were still gripping his shirt. Neither of us moved. "We should probably—" I started. "Yeah," he agreed. But neither of us let go. My phone alarm went off, shattering the moment. 1 p.m. Time to pack my stuff before heading to my mom's. I pulled away, smoothing my hair. "I should go get some clothes from my apartment. I'll drive you. You don't have to." "Blair." He stood, offering me his hand. "We're married. I'm not letting you take an Uber across town to pack up your life alone." The sincerity in his voice made my chest tight. "Okay." My apartment in Wicker Park was exactly what you'd expect from a workaholic CFO who spent 12 hours a day at the office. Small, barely decorated, and mostly just a place to sleep. "This is nice," Wyatt said, looking around my studio with its IKEA furniture and single-potted plant, miraculously still alive. "You're a terrible liar." "I'm serious. It's very, you. Minimalist and sad? Efficient." He walked to my bookshelf, studying the titles. "And you like spy thrillers." "Guilty pleasure." I pulled a suitcase from my closet. "Don't judge." "I'm not judging, I'm learning." He picked up a photo frame. "Is this your family?" I glanced over. The picture was from Morgan's wedding 3 years ago. All 4 of us sisters squeezed together, laughing. "Yeah, that's Morgan, the oldest. Then Paige, then me, then Quinn. You all look alike." "We get that a lot." I started pulling clothes from my closet. "Fair warning, they're going to interrogate you mercilessly." "I can handle it. Morgan's going to ask about your intentions. Paige is going to psychoanalyze everything you say. She's a therapist. And Quinn's going to flirt with you just to see how I react." Wyatt set down the photo, turning to me with an amused smile. "Your sisters sound terrifying." "They are, but they're also the best people I know." I folded a dress into my suitcase. "And they'll see right through us if we're not careful. Then we won't give them anything to see through." He crossed the room, standing behind me. "We're married, Blair, crazy in love. So head over heels that we couldn't wait another day to make it official. And you think we can sell that?" His hands landed on my shoulders, turning me around. "I think," he said quietly, "that we're better at this than either of us expected." He was referring to the kiss. We both knew it. "That was just practice," I said. "Was it?" I didn't have an answer for that. My phone buzzed. "Morgan, Mom's making her famous pot roast. Hope your husband likes garlic." "We should go," I said, stepping out of Wyatt's orbit. "Before I lose my nerve." My childhood home in Oak Park looked exactly the same as it had for the past 20 years. White colonial, blue shutters, roses in the front garden that my mother somehow kept alive through Chicago winters. "Cozy," Wyatt said as we pulled into the driveway. "That's one word for it." I took a deep breath. "Ready?" "As I'll ever be." He came around and opened my door, a gesture that would have annoyed me yesterday, but today felt nice. Then he took my hand, threading our fingers together. "For practice," he murmured. "Right, practice." The front door flew open before we even reached it. "Blair!" Quinn launched herself at me, nearly knocking me over. At 25, she was the baby of the family and had never quite learned the concept of personal space. "Can't breathe," I gasped. "Sorry." She released me, then turned to Wyatt with undisguised interest. "So you're the secret husband, Wyatt Sterling." He extended his hand. "It's nice to finally meet Blair's family." "Finally." Quinn shook his hand, grinning. "Funny, since we didn't know you existed until 4 hours ago." "Quinn," I warned. "What? I'm just saying." "Quinn, let them inside before you scare him off." My mother appeared in the doorway, wiping her hands on her apron. At 58, Patricia Whitmore looked like an older version of me. Same dark hair, though hers had silver streaks she refused to dye. Same green eyes, same stubborn chin. She studied Wyatt with an intensity that would make most men wither. Wyatt smiled warmly and extended his hand. "Mrs. Whitmore, thank you for having us on such short notice." "Well," Mom shook his hand, still studying him. "When your daughter calls to say she's married, you make time. Come in, both of you." The house smelled like garlic and rosemary and home. I'd been so busy with work I hadn't been back in months, and the guilt hit me like a punch. "Morgan and Paige are in the kitchen," Mom said, leading us through the familiar hallway. "They're dying to meet Wyatt." "I bet," I muttered. The kitchen was exactly as chaotic as I expected. Morgan, 8 months pregnant and glowing, was sitting at the table peeling potatoes. Paige, ever the Zen therapist, was chopping vegetables with meditative precision. They both stopped when we walked in. Well, 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 Morgan said slowly. The mystery husband. Wyatt Sterling. He did the handshake thing again. I had to admit, he was good at this. Congratulations on the baby. Morgan's expression softened slightly. Thanks. Do you want kids? Morgan, I yelped. What? It's a reasonable question for newlyweds. Wyatt's hand found the small of my back, a gesture so natural I almost believed it was real. We haven't discussed specifics yet. We're just enjoying being married first. Sensible, Paige said, her therapist voice in full effect. Though I have to say, Blair, this is very unlike you. You usually plan everything months in advance. Sometimes, I said, leaning slightly into Wyatt's touch, the best things are unplanned. All three of my sisters looked at me like I'd grown a second head. Who are you and what have you done with my sister? Quinn demanded. I'm just happy, I said. And weirdly, in that moment, it didn't feel like a complete lie. Wyatt's thumb traced small circles on my back. We both are. Mom was watching us with narrowed eyes. Dinner's in 20 minutes. Wyatt, why don't you help me set the table? I want to hear all about how you two met. I shot Wyatt a panicked look. He squeezed my hand reassuringly. I'd love to, he said. As he followed my mom to the dining room, Morgan grabbed my arm. Kitchen, now. The three of them surrounded me like a beautiful, terrifying wall of sisterhood. Spill, Morgan commanded. Everything. And don't you dare lie to us. I took a deep breath, and for the next 15 minutes I told them a version of the truth, that Wyatt and I had been fighting our attraction for months, that Friday night after a terrible meeting, everything had boiled over, that we'd gone to dinner, drunk too much champagne, and made a crazy, impulsive, wonderful decision. It was close enough to the truth that it didn't feel like lying. You love him, Quinn said. It wasn't a question. Did I? No, of course not. This was fake, a business arrangement. But when I opened my mouth to deny it, I found myself saying, I think I might. Paige's eyes got misty. Blair, I've never seen you like this. Like what? Happy, Morgan said softly. Really, genuinely happy. Before I could respond, Wyatt's laugh carried from the dining room. A real laugh, warm and unguarded. He seems great, Paige said. But if he hurts you, we'll destroy him. Noted. Dinner was somehow both the longest and shortest meal of my life. Wyatt charmed my mother by asking about her garden. He impressed Morgan by knowing actual facts about pregnancy. He won over Paige by asking thoughtful questions about her therapy practice. And he handled Quinn's flirting with exactly the right amount of friendly deflection. He was perfect. Too perfect. And when his hand found mine under the table, giving it a gentle squeeze during dessert, I realized something terrifying. I wasn't sure where the acting stopped and reality began anymore. So, Mom said as we were clearing plates, when do we get to throw you two a proper reception? Wyatt and I exchanged glances. Actually, he said smoothly, we were thinking something small. Just family and close friends? Maybe in a few months? A few months? Mom frowned. Blair, honey, are you? I'm not pregnant, Mom, I said quickly. We just want to enjoy being married for a bit first. Well, Mom studied us both. As long as you're happy. We are, I said. And the scary part? I almost meant it. In the car on the way back to Wyatt's penthouse, our penthouse, I guess, neither of us spoke for a long time. Your family is wonderful, Wyatt said finally. They liked you. Did they believe us? I thought about it. About the way Mom had watched us all evening. About Paige's knowing looks. About Morgan's fierce protectiveness. I think so, I said. Did you mean what you said? About wanting kids someday? I don't know. He kept his eyes on the road. I never really thought about it. The company always came first. And now? He glanced at me. Now I'm starting to wonder if maybe I've been missing out on some things. My heart did something complicated in my chest. Wyatt, we should establish the bedroom situation, he said, changing the subject. There's a guest room on the second floor. Nice view, ensuite bathroom. It's yours. Thank you. And Blair? He pulled into his building's parking garage. What you said tonight about being happy, did you mean it? I unbuckled my seatbelt, turning to look at him. Really look at him. At this man I'd married in a champagne-fueled haze. This man who was supposed to be my boss. My business partner, nothing more. I don't know, I admitted. But I think that's what scares me most. We sat there in the dimly lit garage. The air between us charged with everything we weren't saying. Then Wyatt's phone buzzed. He checked it and swore. What? Kenneth Dawson. He moved our meeting to tomorrow. 8 a.m. Tomorrow. Sunday. This is it, I said. Make or break. Are you ready? I thought about the merger, about Sterling Industries, about 6 months of fake marriage and $2 million. And I thought about the way Wyatt had kissed me on his couch, the way his hand had felt on my back all evening, the way my family had looked at us like we were real. Yeah, I said, I'm ready. Good. He got out of the car, coming around to open my door. Because tomorrow, we show Kenneth Dawson exactly what Sterling Industries is made of. He offered me his hand. I took it. And as we walked into the building together, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were walking into something far more dangerous than a business deal. We were walking into something that might actually be real. I didn't sleep well, partly because the guest room bed, despite being ridiculously expensive, wasn't mine. Partly because today technically, since it was already 2 a.m., we had to convince Kenneth Dawson that our marriage was real. But mostly because I couldn't stop thinking about that kiss. Kisses, plural. The second one especially. The one that had made me forget we were practicing. I grabbed my phone from the nightstand. No messages. The penthouse was silent. Was Wyatt awake too? Was he replaying the evening in his head, trying to figure out where the performance ended and something real began? Stop it, Blair. This is a business arrangement. Nothing more. My phone buzzed. A text from Wyatt. Can't sleep either. I stared at the message, then typed, nervous about the meeting. Liar. I sat up. Excuse me. You're nervous about us. Come downstairs. We should talk. My heart jumped. It's 2 a.m., I know. I made coffee. Of course he did. I pulled on my robe and padded downstairs, following the light from the kitchen. Wyatt was leaning against the counter in sweatpants and a t-shirt, his hair adorably messy, 2 mugs of coffee already poured. Couldn't sleep? He asked. You already knew that. I took the mug he offered. What do we need to talk about? Today, Kenneth, the merger. He paused. Us. There is no us. This is temporary. Is it? He set down his mug. Blair, what happened on that couch was practice. The first kiss was practice, the second one was something else. I wrapped my hands around my mug, needing something to hold on to. Wyatt, we can't do this. We can't blur the lines. That's how people get hurt. What if the lines are already blurred? Then we unblur them. I met his eyes. 6 months, that was the deal. We close the merger, I get my promotion and bonus, we part ways. Clean. Simple. Nothing about this is simple anymore. He was right. But admitting that felt dangerous. The meeting is in 6 hours, I said instead. We should focus on that. Wyatt studied me for a long moment. All right, let's prep. We spent the next hour going over numbers, strategy, talking points. By 3 a.m., we had a solid plan. By 4 a.m., we'd rehearsed every possible scenario. By 5 a.m., we were both too wired to go back to bed. Want to watch the sunrise? Wyatt asked suddenly. What? The terrace. Best view in Chicago. He grabbed a blanket from the couch. Come on. The terrace was stunning. The city spread out below us, still mostly dark, but the eastern sky was starting to lighten with streaks of pink and gold. Wyatt draped the blanket over both our shoulders. We stood there, close enough to share warmth, watching the city wake up. I used to come out here every morning, he said quietly, after my dad died. Before the company got so big I didn't have time anymore. You miss it? I miss a lot of things. He turned to look at me. I miss having someone to share this with. My breath caught. Wyatt, I know what you're going to say. That this is temporary. That we're not real. But Blair, standing here with you feels more real than anything has in years. I didn't know what to say to that. Couldn't process it. So instead, I leaned my head on his shoulder. He went still. Then his arm came around me, pulling me closer. We watched the sun rise over Chicago in silence. And for just a moment, I let myself pretend this was real. Kenneth Dawson arrived at Sterling Industries at exactly 8 a.m., flanked by 2 lawyers and his VP of acquisitions. Wyatt and I were waiting in the conference room, looking every inch the power couple. I'd chosen my best suit, navy, sharp, expensive. Wyatt was in charcoal gray, his wedding ring clearly visible when he shook Kenneth's hand. Kenneth, thanks for coming on a Sunday. Wyatt and Mrs. Sterling, I presume. Kenneth's eyes were sharp, assessing. Blair, please. I shook his hand firmly. I'd apologize for Friday's drama, but honestly, watching my husband set your contract on fire was the moment I knew I wanted to marry him. Wyatt's lips twitched. Kenneth blinked. I'm sorry? Passion, I said simply, moving to sit at the table. He has it in spades. Sometimes it's infuriating. But when you're building something together, you want someone who cares that deeply. Building something, Kenneth repeated, taking his seat. You mean the company? I mean everything. I pulled out my tablet. A company, a partnership, a life. It's all the same principle. You need someone who'll fight for it. Wyatt sat beside me, his hand finding mine under the table. A gesture of unity, of partnership. Kenneth watched us carefully. I'll admit I was surprised to hear about your marriage. Very sudden. When you know, Wyatt said smoothly. Indeed. Kenneth opened his briefcase. Well, I have a new proposal for you both. Meridian is willing to increase our offer by $8 million. With one condition. I leaned forward. What condition? Blair stays on as CFO for a minimum of 5 years post-merger. Your talent retention clause was impressive, but I want assurance that the brains behind this operation isn't going anywhere. My heart jumped. 5 years. The fake marriage was only supposed to last 6 months. That's a significant commitment, I said carefully. You're a significant asset. Kenneth slid the new contract across the table. Take a look. I think you'll find everything in order. Wyatt and I exchanged glances. I could see him calculating, processing. Give us a moment, I said. Kenneth nodded. Of course. We'll wait outside. The moment the door closed, Wyatt turned to me. 5 years. I know. That's not what we agreed. The $8 million increase more than makes up for it. I scanned the contract on my tablet. Wyatt, this is a good deal. Better than good, it's everything we wanted. It changes things. How? We still get divorced after 6 months. I just stay on as CFO, we can manage that. As ex-spouses working together? People do it all the time. I looked at the numbers again. This saves Sterling Industries. It secures your legacy. Isn't that what matters? He was quiet for a long moment. Then, is that all that matters to you? The deal? What else would there be? Blair. He turned my chair to face him. Last night on the terrace. Was a moment, a nice moment, but this is business, Wyatt. Is it? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. A text from Paige. How's the meeting going? Rooting for you both. Both. My family thought this was real. They were invested now. What a mess. They're waiting, I said, standing up. We need to make a decision. Wyatt stood too, straightening his tie. All right, let's do this. We called Kenneth back in. We accept, Wyatt said, with one modification. Blair's 5-year commitment comes with an executive partnership stake in the merged company. 20%. Kenneth's eyebrows rose. That's substantial. My wife is substantially talented. Wyatt's hand found my lower back. If you want to lock her in for 5 years, you're going to make it worth her while. I tried not to show my surprise. 20% partnership stake would make me one of the wealthiest women in Chicago. Kenneth looked at his lawyers. They whispered. Then he smiled. Deal, but I want one more thing. What? I asked. A celebration next weekend, dinner with my wife and me. Let's make this merger feel like the family affair it should be. Wyatt and I exchanged looks. Another performance, another test. We'd love that, I said smoothly. Excellent. Kenneth extended his hand to Wyatt. Welcome to the Meridian family. They shook. Then Kenneth turned to me, his expression warm. And congratulations on your marriage, Blair. Wyatt's a lucky man. I think I'm the lucky one, I said. And weirdly, terrifyingly, I almost meant it. The moment Kenneth and his team left, I turned to Wyatt. 20%? You earned it. That wasn't part of our deal. Consider it a wedding gift. He loosened his tie, that tension from before melting away. You were incredible in there, by the way. So were you. The whole my wife is substantially talented thing was a nice touch. I meant it. We looked at each other. The conference room suddenly felt very small. We did it, I said softly. We actually pulled it off. First step. He moved closer. Now we just have to survive dinner with the Dawsons next weekend. And the office announcement tomorrow. And 6 months of convincing everyone we're madly in love. Right, 6 months. I swallowed. Then we're done. Done, he repeated. But he didn't step back. Blair, about what I said earlier. My phone rang. Morgan. I should take this, I said, grateful for the interruption. It's my sister, I answered. Hey, did you close the deal? Morgan practically screamed. How did you? Quinn follows Sterling Industries stock on her app. It just jumped. Tell me everything. I laughed despite myself. We closed it with better terms than we expected. I knew it. I told Paige you two were going to be unstoppable together. A real power couple. Power couple. Right. Thanks, Morgan. Celebration dinner. Tonight. Our house, no arguments. Bring your husband. She hung up before I could protest. Your family wants to celebrate, Wyatt guessed. Apparently we're unstoppable together. I made air quotes. Morgan's words, not mine. Are we? Unstoppable? I looked at him. Really looked at him. At this man who'd just negotiated a partnership stake for me without asking for anything in return. Who'd held my hand through the meeting. Who'd watched the sunrise with me like it was the most natural thing in the world. I don't know, I admitted, but I think we're about to find out. Morgan's celebration dinner was exactly as chaotic as expected. My sisters had invited their partners, turning it into a full family affair. Morgan's husband Derek grilled Wyatt about sports. Paige's girlfriend Rachel asked thoughtful questions about the merger. Quinn brought her latest boyfriend, a musician named Jamie who talked about nothing but his band. And somehow, in the middle of all the chaos and noise and laughter, Wyatt fit right in. Your husband is disgustingly perfect, Quinn whispered to me while we were getting drinks in the kitchen. Please tell me he has a fatal flaw. He's a workaholic, I offered. So are you. That's not a flaw. That's compatibility. She studied me. You're falling for him, aren't you? What? No. We barely know each other. Blair, I've seen the way you look at him. And more importantly, I've seen the way he looks at you. How does he look at me? Quinn smiled. Like you're the only person in the room. I glanced through the doorway. Wyatt was listening to Derek explain something with animated hand gestures, nodding along, but his eyes kept flicking to me, checking in, making sure I was okay. When he caught me looking, he smiled. My heart did that stupid fluttering thing again. It's not real, I told Quinn. We're just good at pretending. If you say so. But she didn't sound convinced. Later, as we were leaving, Mom pulled me aside. He's a good man, Blair. I know. But more importantly, you're happy with him. I can see it. She cupped my face. Don't overthink this, sweetheart. Sometimes the best things in life are the ones we don't plan. If only she knew how unplanned this whole thing was. In the car ride home, Wyatt was quiet. You okay? I asked. Your family is incredible. They can be overwhelming. No, I mean it, the way they all showed up for you, the way they support each other. He kept his eyes on the road. I never had that growing up. It was just me and my parents, and they were always so focused on the business. Is that why you work so hard? To honor them? Maybe. Or maybe I just don't know how to do anything else. He pulled into the parking garage. But tonight with your family, I saw what I've been missing. We sat in the car, the engine ticking as it cooled. Wyatt, what are we doing? I asked quietly. I don't know. He turned to face me. We're supposed to be faking this. But everything I said in there, about you being talented, about wanting to build something together, none of that was fake. We have a contract, 6 months. Screw the contract. My breath caught. What? I'm not saying we tear it up. I'm saying maybe we stop pretending we're only in this for the business. He reached over, taking my hand. Maybe we admit that this thing between us is real. Wyatt, you feel it too. I know you do. He was right. I did feel it. Had been feeling it since that second kiss, maybe even before, but admitting it meant risking everything. The carefully constructed walls I'd built around my heart, the career I'd worked so hard for, the future I'd planned. I need time, I said finally, to think about this, about us. How much time? I don't know, just let me process. He brought my hand to his lips, pressing a gentle kiss to my knuckles. Take all the time you need, Blair. I'm not going anywhere. We went upstairs in silence. At the landing between our bedrooms, we paused. Good night, I said. Good night. But he didn't let go of my hand. We stood there, caught between our separate bedrooms, between fake and real, between what we'd agreed to and what we were becoming. Finally, I pulled my hand free and went to my room. But as I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, I knew something had shifted. This wasn't just a business arrangement anymore. This was something far more dangerous. This was becoming real. Monday morning arrived too quickly. I'd spent most of Sunday night staring at my ceiling, replaying Wyatt's words. Maybe we admit that this thing between us is real, but real meant complicated. Real meant vulnerable. Real meant potentially losing everything if it went wrong. I wasn't ready for real. At 7 a.m., I found Wyatt in the kitchen already dressed in a sharp navy suit making coffee. "Morning," he said, his eyes searching my face. "Did you sleep?" "A little. You?" "Not really." He poured me a cup. "We should talk about today. The office announcement." "Right. The announcement." I'd almost forgotten in all the emotional chaos. "What's the plan?" I asked, grateful to focus on logistics instead of feelings. "Staff meeting at 9. We tell everyone together. Simple, straightforward." He leaned against the counter. "And Blair, about what I said last night? Can we not, right now?" I wrapped my hands around my mug. I have a lot to process, and I need to get through today first. Disappointment flickered across his face, but he nodded. "Okay, but we will talk about this." "I know." The office was already buzzing when we arrived. Separately, of course. We'd agreed to keep up appearances until the announcement. My assistant, Melissa, pounced the moment I walked in. "Is it true?" "Is what true?" "The rumors about you and Mr. Sterling." I froze. "What rumors?" "Someone saw you two leaving together Friday night. Then you were both out all day Saturday. And now there's an emergency staff meeting." She lowered her voice. "People are saying you're dating." Dating, if only it were that simple. "You'll find out at the meeting," I said, escaping to my office. My phone buzzed. "Wyatt, the rumor mill is working overtime. Are you ready for this?" Me. "As ready as I'll ever be." "Wyatt, we'll do this together. See you at 9. Together." That word again. At exactly 9 a.m., the entire Sterling Industries staff crammed into the main conference room, all 47 employees buzzing with speculation. Wyatt stood at the front, commanding and confident. I stood beside him, trying to look natural. "Thank you all for coming," Wyatt began. "I have some news to share, both professional and personal." The room went silent. First, the professional. After 6 months of negotiations, I'm pleased to announce that Sterling Industries will be merging with Meridian Corp. This partnership will triple our market reach and secure our position as industry leaders. Applause erupted. People were grinning, celebrating. This merger wouldn't have been possible without our incredible CFO, Blair Whitmore. Wyatt's eyes found mine. Blair's strategic vision and tireless work made this happen. And as part of the merger, she'll be taking on the role of executive vice president with a 20% partnership stake. More applause. My team was on their feet cheering. Which brings me to the personal news. Wyatt reached for my hand. I took it, feeling the weight of 47 pairs of eyes on us. Blair and I got married this weekend. Silence. Complete, total silence. Then chaos. "What? You're married? Since when were you dating?" Melissa looked like she might faint. Wyatt squeezed my hand. "I know this is sudden. We've been keeping our relationship private because of workplace dynamics, but Friday night we decided we didn't want to wait any longer. It was impulsive," I added, finding my voice, "and unconventional. But when you find the right person, you know. We wanted to tell you all personally," Wyatt continued, "because you're not just our employees, you're our team, our family, and we hope you'll support us." A beat of silence. Then Marcus from accounting started clapping. Slowly, others joined in. Soon the whole room was applauding, some people wiping their eyes. "This is the most romantic thing I've ever heard," Melissa gushed. "I always thought you two had chemistry," someone called out. "Does this mean we get cake?" That was definitely someone from IT. The tension broke. People laughed, came up to congratulate us. Wyatt's hand stayed firmly in mine through it all. And for a moment, surrounded by genuinely happy people, it almost felt real. By lunchtime, the news had spread beyond the office. My phone was exploding with texts. "Morgan, the office knows. This is so exciting." Paige, "Sending you both so much love." Quinn, "I'm planning the reception whether you like it or not." And then one that made my stomach drop. Unknown number. "Congrats on the marriage, Blair. We should catch up sometime." Drew, my ex-boyfriend from 2 years ago. The one who dumped me because I was married to my job. The irony wasn't lost on me. I was staring at the message when Wyatt appeared in my doorway. "Hey, you disappeared after the meeting. Just needed some air." I set my phone down. It went well, I think. Better than expected. He came in, closing the door behind him. You okay? You seem off. I'm fine. Blair, I sighed. My ex texted, congratulating me on the marriage. Wyatt's expression darkened. The one who dumped me for working too much, yeah. I laughed without humor. He wants to catch up. What are you going to say? Nothing. He's in the past. I looked up at Wyatt. This is just, it's a lot. The announcement, the merger, everyone being so happy for us when it's all fake, he finished quietly. I was going to say complicated. He sat on the edge of my desk. It doesn't have to be. Wyatt, don't. Why not? Why are you so determined to keep this fake? Because real means risk. The words burst out before I could stop them. Real means I could lose everything. My job, my reputation, my heart. Your heart, he repeated softly. You think I'd break your heart? I think you could, and that terrifies me. We stared at each other. The air between us crackled with tension. I would never, he started. A knock on the door interrupted us. Melissa poked her head in. Sorry to interrupt, but Mr. Dawson is on line 2 for you both. Says it's urgent. Wyatt and I exchanged glances. Put him through to the conference room, I said. Kenneth Dawson's face filled the video screen, looking agitated. Kenneth, Wyatt said smoothly, what can we do for you? We have a problem. Kenneth's jaw was tight. My board got wind of your marriage announcement. They're concerned about the optics. My stomach dropped. Concerned how? They think it's too convenient. That you two got married right before closing the deal. Kenneth rubbed his temples. They're questioning whether this merger is really in Meridian's best interests or if it's just personal. That's ridiculous, Wyatt said sharply. Our marriage has nothing to do with the business. Doesn't it? You're merging your companies right after merging your lives. My board wants proof that this is legitimate. Proof? I repeated. What kind of proof? They want to meet you both. This weekend at the dinner, but not just a social dinner. Kenneth looked uncomfortable. They want to see you together. As a couple, they want to believe this is real. After he hung up, Wyatt and I sat in silence. This is a disaster, I said finally. It's a complication. A complication. Wyatt, they're going to be watching us like hawks, looking for any sign that we're faking. Then we won't give them one. He stood, pacing. We'll be convincing. We've done it before. With my family, sure. But a boardroom full of skeptical executives, that's different. So we practice more, we get better at this. Or, I took a breath, or we call it off. Annul the marriage. Tell them the truth. Wyatt stopped pacing. You want to quit? I want to not destroy both our careers with a lie. This isn't a lie anymore, Blair. His voice rose. Not for me, and I don't think it is for you either. You don't know what I feel. Then tell me. Stop hiding behind this fake marriage excuse and tell me what you actually feel. I feel confused. I stood up, matching his intensity. I feel like my life is spinning out of control. I feel like I'm falling for someone I'm supposed to be pretending with, and I don't know how to stop. The words hung in the air. Wyatt's expression shifted from anger to something softer, more vulnerable. You're falling for me. I didn't say that. You just did. I said I feel like I might be falling. That's different. Is it? He crossed the room in 3 strides, stopping inches from me. Because I'm not falling anymore, Blair. I've already fallen. My breath caught. Wyatt, I love you. The words were simple, direct, devastating. I know it's fast and crazy and completely inconvenient, but I love you. And I think you love me too. You can't just say that. Why not? It's true. We barely know each other. I know you take your coffee black. I know you scrunch your nose when you're concentrating. I know you're brilliant and stubborn and scared of being vulnerable. He cupped my face. I know that when you smile at me, really smile, it feels like the sun coming out. Tears pricked my eyes. This is insane. I know. We're going to ruin everything. Maybe. Or maybe we're going to build something incredible. Wyatt. He kissed me. Not gentle, not practiced. Raw and real and desperate. And I kissed him back, pouring every confused emotion into it. All the fear and hope and longing I'd been trying to deny. When we broke apart, we were both breathing hard. Tell me you don't feel that, he whispered against my lips. Tell me that was fake. I couldn't, because it wasn't. I'm scared, I admitted. Me too. He rested his forehead against mine. but I'd rather be scared with you than safe without you. A knock on the door made us spring apart, Melissa again looking apologetic. So sorry, but you have the Meridian legal team holding on line 1. Wyatt and I looked at each other. This weekend, I said. We convinced them. Together. Together, he agreed. But as he left my office, I sank into my chair, my hands shaking. He'd said he loved me. And the terrifying part? I thought I might love him too. That evening, we had our first real fight. It started over something stupid. Wyatt reorganizing my kitchen supplies, and escalated into everything we'd been avoiding. You can't just come in and change everything, I snapped, putting the coffee mugs back where I wanted them. I'm not changing everything. I'm trying to make this work. By controlling everything? That's your solution? That's not what I'm doing, isn't it? You decided we should get married. You decided to tell Kenneth yes. You decided to tell me you love me. Oh, I'm sorry. Should I have not told you I love you? Is that not allowed in our fake marriage? That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean, Blair? Because I'm tired of trying to decode everything you say. We stood in his kitchen, our kitchen, glaring at each other. Then suddenly I laughed. What? Wyatt demanded. We're having our first fight, as a married couple. I laughed harder. This is ridiculous. A smile tugged at his lips. Completely ridiculous. We got married drunk in Indiana. Best worst decision of my life. We looked at each other, and just like that, the anger dissolved. I'm sorry, I said quietly. I'm not good at this, at letting people in. I know. Neither am I. He moved closer. But I want to try. With you. Even though I'm difficult and stubborn and scared. Especially because of that. He pulled me into his arms. Blair, I meant what I said earlier. I love you. And I don't expect you to say it back. Not until you're ready. But I need you to stop running. I wrapped my arms around him, breathing in his cologne. I'll try. That's all I ask. We stood there in the kitchen, holding each other, and for the first time since this whole crazy thing started, I let myself hope. Maybe this could work. Maybe we could be real. Maybe falling for Wyatt Sterling wasn't the disaster I'd been afraid of. Maybe it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Later that night, as I was getting ready for bed, my phone rang. Drew. I stared at it, then answered. Blair, I was hoping you'd call back. What do you want, Drew? Just to congratulate you. Marriage is a big step. A pause. Though I have to say I was surprised. You always said you didn't have time for a relationship. I didn't. With you. Ouch. He laughed. So this guy must be special. I looked through my open door to where Wyatt was in the living room, reading through merger documents, his reading glasses perched on his nose. He is, I said softly. Good. You deserve to be happy, Blair, even if I wasn't the one who could make you happy. After we hung up, I went to the living room. Wyatt looked up when I entered. Everything okay? Yeah. I sat beside him on the couch. That was Drew, my ex. His jaw tightened. What did he want? To wish us well, actually. He was nice about it. Should I be worried? About Drew? No. I took Wyatt's hand. You're it for me, fake marriage or not. His eyes softened. Blair, I'm not ready to say the words yet, but I'm not running anymore either. I squeezed his hand. So if you're willing to be patient with me, I'd wait forever for you. He pulled me against him, and we sat there on the couch, him reading documents, me scrolling through my phone, our bodies touching in easy comfort. It felt like home. It felt like real. And for the first time, that didn't scare me quite so much. The week leading up to the Meridian dinner passed in a blur of preparation, stolen kisses, and growing intimacy that terrified and thrilled me in equal measure. Wyatt and I fell into a rhythm, morning coffee together, commuting to work separately to maintain some professional boundaries, lunch meetings that ran long because we got distracted talking, evenings cooking together, arguing over which streaming show to watch, falling asleep on the couch mid-episode. It felt domestic, real, dangerously comfortable. Wednesday night, I found myself actually wanting to go home, to Wyatt's penthouse, which I'd started thinking of as our place. That realization stopped me cold in my office. You look like you've seen a ghost, Melissa said, poking her head in. Everything okay? Yeah, just thinking. I closed my laptop. Hey, can I ask you something? Of course. How did you know your husband was the one? Melissa's face softened. That's easy. He felt like home. Like I could stop pretending to be perfect and just be. She tilted her head. Why? Having doubts about Mr. Sterling? The opposite, actually. That's what scares me. Blair, I've worked for you for 3 years. I've never seen you this happy. Don't overthink it. But overthinking was my specialty. Friday afternoon, Wyatt called an emergency meeting in his office. We have a problem, he said the moment I walked in. What now? Kenneth just sent me the full guest list for tomorrow's dinner. He handed me his tablet. It's not just his wife and a few board members. I scrolled through the list and my stomach dropped. 15 people? This is basically an interrogation. Complete with his CFO, COO, and 3 board members who've publicly stated they think the merger is a mistake. Great. Fantastic. Just what I wanted for my Saturday night. Wyatt ran a hand through his hair. Blair, we need to be perfect tomorrow. One slip, one inconsistency, and they'll tear this deal apart. No pressure or anything. I'm serious. They're going to ask us everything. How we met, when we fell in love, why we got married so suddenly. He looked at me. We need our story straight. We spent the next 2 hours crafting a narrative, embellishing the truth just enough to make it romantic, but keeping it close to reality so we wouldn't forget details. So, we've been secretly attracted to each other for months, I recited. The tension finally broke last Friday during the meeting. After you magnificently put me in my place, Wyatt added with a grin. We went to dinner to discuss the merger, had too much champagne, and I proposed the idea of marriage as a joke, which I took seriously because I'd been in love with you for months and saw my chance. I looked up at him. Have you been in love with me for months? He set down his notes. You want the truth or the story? The truth. I started falling for you the day you called me out in the quarterly review meeting. You stood up, marched to my presentation, and pointed out 3 calculation errors in front of the entire executive team. He smiled at the memory. You were terrifying and brilliant, and I couldn't stop thinking about you. That was 8 months ago. I know. My heart squeezed. Why didn't you say anything? Because you worked for me. Because it was inappropriate. Because I didn't think you'd ever see me as anything other than your difficult boss. He moved closer. And because I was scared. Turns out we have that in common. I reached for his hand. For the record, I started falling for you during that same meeting. The way you admitted your mistakes instead of making excuses. The way you actually listened to my suggestions. I squeezed his fingers. You've been driving me crazy for months, Wyatt Sterling. Good crazy or bad crazy? Both. He pulled me into his arms. We're going to Ace tomorrow, you know why? Why? Because we're not pretending anymore. We're just going to tell them the truth. The truth? That I'm completely in love with my wife. And I have been for a long time. I buried my face in his chest, breathing him in. What if I mess this up? You won't. But what if I do? What if I freeze or say the wrong thing or... Blair. He tilted my chin up. You've never failed at anything in your life. You're not going to start now. You have a lot of faith in me. Always. Saturday evening arrived too quickly. I'd spent an hour getting ready, changing outfits 3 times before settling on an emerald green dress that Wyatt had pointed out matched my eyes. He wore a charcoal suit that should have been illegal. Ready? He asked, offering his arm as we stood outside the private dining room at one of Chicago's most exclusive restaurants. Ready, I lied. The moment we walked in, I felt the weight of 15 pairs of eyes assessing us. Kenneth stood, smiling warmly. Wyatt, Blair, welcome. Let me introduce everyone. The next 15 minutes were a blur of names and handshakes. I cataloged each person, friendly, skeptical, neutral. The 3 board members who opposed the merger, Robert Chen, Patricia Vance, and Thomas Garrett, watched us like hawks studying prey. So, Blair, Patricia said once we were all seated, tell us how you 2 met. Here we go. At work, actually. I interviewed for the CFO position 2 years ago. Wyatt was intimidating. She reduced me to stuttering within 5 minutes, Wyatt added, his hand finding mine under the table. I hired her on the spot. And the romance developed from there? Robert asked, his tone skeptical. Not exactly, I said honestly. We fought constantly, disagreed on everything. I thought he was arrogant. He thought I was stubborn. We were both right, Wyatt said with a smile. So what changed? Thomas leaned forward. Seems awfully convenient that you fell in love right before this merger. The table went quiet. Kenneth looked uncomfortable. Wyatt's hand tightened on mine. With respect, Thomas, the timing had nothing to do with the merger, and everything to do with us finally being honest with each other. Honest how? Patricia pressed. I took a breath. This was it. Truth or fiction? I chose truth. I've spent my entire career proving myself. Being the youngest, the smartest, the most dedicated. I worked 90-hour weeks. I canceled dates, missed family events, sacrificed everything for success. I looked at Wyatt. And then last Friday I passed out from exhaustion in a meeting. Wyatt carried me to his car, took me to his home and made me dinner. He told me I was killing myself, that the company wasn't worth my life. And you proposed marriage because, Robert's eyebrow raised, because I made a joke about how all my problems would be solved if I just married my boss. Then he'd have to care about my well-being. I laughed softly. Except Wyatt didn't think it was a joke. He said yes. And in my champagne-fueled state, I thought it was brilliant. So you got married drunk, Patricia said flatly. We did, Wyatt confirmed. Completely impulsive, totally irresponsible, and the best decision I ever made. How romantic, Thomas said dryly. It's not romantic, I said. It's real. It's messy and complicated and we're figuring it out as we go. But Wyatt's right. It was the best decision I ever made. Why? Patricia asked. What makes him so special? I looked at my husband. Really looked at him. Because he sees me. Not the CFO, not the numbers genius, not the workaholic who'll sacrifice everything for a deal. He sees me, and he loves me anyway. My voice cracked slightly. He makes me want to go home at the end of the day. He makes me take lunch breaks. He makes me believe that maybe I can have both. A career I love and a life worth living. The table was silent. Kenneth's wife, Grace, was dabbing her eyes with her napkin. That's beautiful, she whispered. Robert Chen leaned back in his chair, studying us. You know what I think? Here it comes. The rejection. I think you two are either the best liars I've ever met, or you're genuinely in love. He smiled, and I'm inclined to believe the latter. Patricia nodded slowly. I have to agree. No one could fake that kind of vulnerability. Thomas was the last holdout. He watched us for a long moment, then sighed. I still think the timing is suspicious, but... He glanced at his wife across the table. Sometimes love doesn't follow a convenient timeline. Kenneth raised his glass. To Wyatt and Blair, may your merger, both personal and professional, be incredibly successful. Everyone toasted. The tension broke. Conversation flowed naturally after that. I excused myself to the restroom after the main course, needing a moment to process. Patricia followed me in. That was quite a performance out there, she said, touching up her lipstick. My stomach clenched. I don't know what you mean. Oh, please, I've been married for 30 years. I know real emotion when I see it. She turned to face me. You love him. Really love him, don't you? I couldn't lie anymore. Yes. Does he know? I think so, but I haven't said it yet. Why not? Because saying it makes it real, and real means I could lose it. Patricia smiled gently. Sweetie, you're going to lose it if you don't say it. That man in there is head over heels for you. Don't make him wait forever. When we got back to the penthouse, Wyatt loosened his tie and turned to me. We did it. We did. I kicked off my heels. They believed us. Because it was true. He moved closer. Everything you said tonight, about me seeing you, about wanting to go home, was that true? Every word. Blair, I love you. The words tumbled out before I could stop them. I love you and it terrifies me and I don't care anymore. I love you. Wyatt's face transformed. Pure joy. Say it again. I love you, Wyatt Sterling. I love your terrible jokes and your perfectionism and the way you reorganize my kitchen cabinets. I love that you make me take breaks and that you look at me like I hung the moon. I love... He kissed me, lifting me off my feet, spinning me around. When he set me down, we were both laughing. I love you too, he said against my lips. In case that wasn't clear. It was pretty clear. I wrapped my arms around his neck. So what now? Now we stop pretending this is temporary. He pulled back to look at me. Blair, I don't want a 6-month arrangement. I don't want a fake marriage. I want you, really want you. Forever. Forever's a long time. Not long enough. I pretended to think about it. Well, we are already married. Might as well make it official. Official? He raised an eyebrow. As opposed to the legal marriage certificate we already have. I mean the feelings part. The real part. I took his hand. Wyatt Camden Sterling, will you be my real husband? Not for the merger, not for the optics, but because I love you and I want to build a life with you. Blair Jade Whitmore Sterling, he said seriously. That is the easiest question anyone has ever asked me. Yes, 1,000 times yes. He kissed me again, deeper this time, promising, full of future. Should we tell people, I asked when we came up for air, that we're staying married? I think they assumed that it's real, that we're not just doing this for business. Blair, anyone with eyes can see it's real. He tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. But we can tell them if you want. Make it official. I thought about my sisters, my mom, my team at work. All the people who'd celebrated with us believed in us. Tomorrow, I decided. Tonight is just for us. I like the sound of that. He swept me into his arms, carrying me toward the stairs. Wyatt, what are you doing? Carrying my wife to our bedroom. Isn't that what newlyweds do? Our bedroom. Well, we're really married now. Seems silly to keep separate rooms. I laughed, holding on to him. You've been planning this. Maybe a little. He kissed my forehead. Is that okay? I looked at this man who'd become my husband, my partner, my home, who'd seen me at my worst and loved me anyway, who'd taken a drunk marriage proposal and turned it into something real. It's perfect, I said. You're perfect. I'm really not. Perfect for me, then. That, he said, pushing open the bedroom door, I can live with. Epilogue. 6 months later. I can't believe you're making me do this, I muttered, adjusting my dress for the 3rd time. You love it, Quinn said, fixing my hair. Admit it. I looked at myself in the mirror. White dress, flowers in my hair, my 3 sisters surrounding me in the bridal suite. A real wedding. 6 months after the real marriage started. 1 year after the fake one began. Okay, fine, I love it. Morgan dabbed at her eyes. You look beautiful, Blair. Stop crying. You'll make me cry and then my makeup will run. Too late, Paige said, handing me a tissue. A knock on the door. Everyone ready? My mother peeked in, then stopped. Oh, honey, you're stunning. Thanks, Mom. I hugged her. Thanks for understanding. About doing this backwards. Are you kidding? You gave me the best son-in-law I could ask for. I don't care about the order. She kissed my forehead. Now go marry that man. Again. Properly this time. The ceremony was in the garden behind our new house. Not the penthouse, but an actual home in Lincoln Park with a yard and guest rooms for when my sisters visited. Wyatt stood under an arch of roses, looking unfairly handsome in his tuxedo. His eyes locked on me the moment I appeared, and the love in them made my knees weak. Hi, I whispered when I reached him. Hi yourself. He took my hands. You look incredible. You clean up okay too. The officiant cleared his throat. Shall we begin? We'd written our own vows this time. Real ones. Blair, Wyatt started, his voice steady but emotional. A year ago you proposed to me in a champagne haze. You thought it was a joke. I saw it as a miracle, because I'd been in love with you for months and was too scared to say it. He squeezed my hands. You've made me braver. You've made me better. You've made me want to be the kind of man who deserves you. I promise to always see you, to always support you, to always remind you to eat lunch and take breaks, and that you're worth more than any deal, any merger, any company. I was crying, full ugly crying. Your turn, Wyatt said gently, wiping my tears. I took a shaky breath. Wyatt, you asked me once what scared me most about our marriage being real. The truth is, I was scared of being happy, of believing I could have it all. But you've taught me that love doesn't make you weak. It makes you stronger. That partnership doesn't mean losing yourself. It means finding yourself. I smiled through my tears. I promise to always challenge you, to always be honest with you, and to always, always love you. Even when you reorganize my kitchen cabinets. Everyone laughed. Even then, I confirmed. The officiant pronounced us husband and wife. You may now kiss. Wyatt didn't wait. He pulled me close and kissed me like we weren't standing in front of 75 people. Like we were alone on his terrace watching the sunrise. Like this was just the beginning of forever. Which, I suppose it was. Later, at the reception, Kenneth Dawson raised his glass. To Wyatt and Blair. The most unconventional love story I've ever witnessed. May your merger continue to exceed all projections. Both of them, Grace added with a wink. I looked around the room. My family, my team from work, friends from college I'd lost touch with but who'd all shown up. Even Drew was there with his new girlfriend. genuinely happy for me. And Wyatt, my husband, my partner, my home. What are you thinking? He asked, pulling me close for a dance. That a year ago, if someone had told me I'd drunkenly marry my boss and it would turn into the real thing, I would have laughed. And now I think it's the best, worst decision I ever made. He spun me around. No regrets? Not even one. Good, because I have a confession. What? I may have still been sober when I said yes in Indiana. I stopped dancing. What? I'd only had one glass of champagne. You were the drunk one. I just saw my chance and took it. Wyatt Sterling. I smacked his arm. You let me think we were both drunk. I know, but in my defense, there's no defense. You tricked me into marriage. I prefer to think of it as strategic planning. I tried to be mad. I really did, but I was laughing too hard. You're impossible. And you love me anyway. Unfortunately, yes. He dipped me dramatically, kissing me in front of everyone. When he pulled me back up, I was dizzy. From the spin, from the kiss, from the sheer happiness of it all. Ready for forever, Mrs. Sterling? He asked. I looked at this man who'd taken a fake marriage and made it real, who'd seen my worst and loved me through it, who'd become my partner in every sense of the word. With you, I smiled. I'm ready for anything. And as we danced under the stars, surrounded by everyone we loved, I realized something important. Sometimes the best love stories start with the worst decisions. Sometimes you have to marry your boss in a drunken haze in Indiana to find your happily ever after. And sometimes, just sometimes, fake marriages become the realest thing in your life. I wouldn't change a single moment. Well, maybe I would have eaten lunch more often during those 3 months of negotiations. But everything else? Perfect. Absolutely, ridiculously, wonderfully perfect. The end.